Hello everyone. The substitute for Niles in the Frasier reboot explains why the plot of Frasier and Freddy isn't working. Kelsey Grammer was always certain that the final act of Frasier would center on his connection with his adult son. Despite the series' many plot twists, Freddy was born in the midst of the Cheers events and spent some time at Sam's bar with his parents. He spoke the pub's catchphrase for Norm as his first word. But in order to see his father after Frasier and Lilith's divorce, he had to go to Seattle a few times a year. His father used to be the one to go to Boston, where he resided, on sometimes. Although the two in the first Frasier had problems, their relationship was strong. So, hearing about their breakup was intriguing. Their discord began after Freddy left Harvard and declined to become a psychiatrist like his parents, as was disclosed in the Frasier reboot. But even before that, Freddy was struggling to manage the complex relationship between Frasier and Lilith in addition to the burden of being a crane. For a long time, Frasier was unaware of this, but after realizing what was going on, he began to take action to mend his damaged connection with his son, in addition to taking on the role of Frasier once again. Grammer contributes to the creative process of the revival. This implies that he has a say in how it is written, and because he was well aware that the family element of the first program was its greatest feature, it seemed reasonable that he would want the new series to do the same. Sadly, Martin's appearance is lost due to John Mahoney's passing. David Hyde Pierce, however, declined the chance to reprise his role as Niles. Fortunately, the inclusion of Freddy and his cousin David, who represent the third generation of Cranes, allows the Frasier remake to maintain a solid narrative foundation. The core of the Paramount Plus series is meant to be the interaction between Frasier and Freddy in particular, inspired by his trajectory with Martin. Frasier created the lie that the father and son share a roof in the hopes that being close may mend their relationship in the same manner that it did with his father. In addition, the Frasier reboot is generating comparisons between Martin and his grandson, as Freddy shares the sentiments of the Crane patriarch in addition to becoming a fireman in the civil service like his late grandpa. Despite these parallels, the nature of Freddy and his father's setup, as well as other factors, prevent the Frasier reboot from fully capturing the enchantment of Frasier and Martin's chemistry from the original series. Alan, Frasier's pal from his Oxford days, is able to see the situation from a different angle, much as Niles would have, even though he is not a direct substitute. In The Fix Is In, the 9th episode of the Frasier reboot, Alan and Frasier talk about Alan's relationship with Freddy. The British Harvard professor notes that his buddy is unaware that he is pampering his adult son. It seems sense that you would want to look after Freddy, but indulging him would not help in Frasier's attempts to rebuild a strong relationship with him. Alan then confronts Frasier, arguing that the younger Crane clearly wants to assist him and that he needs assistance, but Frasier is adamant about refusing. In this sense, Frasier refers to his connection with Martin as a pebble on his shoulder. Unfortunately, there is no logic behind this. If anything, Frasier ought to be aware that showing his son vulnerability can hasten their reunion. The reimagining of Frasier's connection with Freddy suffers from the show's masterful treatment of Martin's relationship with his eldest child. It doesn't have the same effect as forcing Frasier and Martin to share a space. That is, forcing his kid to live with him, since Frasier doesn't feel less of a man by having to live with his son, and Freddy has the opportunity to locate his own apartment. The power balance makes the revival's central plot less interesting than it was in the original. As a result, the Frasier reboot had to create a brand new conflict. Frasier's constant indulgence of Freddy. Frasier's remorse at missing his formative years is the reason behind his desire on spoiling his kid. In Freddy's Birthday, the 7th episode of the Frasier reboot, he confesses this to Lilith. Frasier feels as like he has abandoned his kid by moving across the nation from him after his divorce, despite his best attempts to stay in contact. Beantown is where Frasier might have remained, with an ample income from his own business. He could have easily afforded a new city apartment, allowing him and Freddy to spend more time together. Unfortunately, he fled back to Seattle because he was so consumed by his own sadness.